President Trump hoping to take his Pennsylvania election challenge to the Supreme Court. In the new petition, the Trump campaign asking the High Court yesterday to overturn a trio of Pennsylvania Supreme Court decisions that allowed more mail-in ballots in the state to be counted, and also asks the Pennsylvania General Assembly to pick its own slate of electors. Joining us to discuss is Adam Goodman, a partner at Ballard Partners and also a Republican strategist. Adam, great to see you here. Based on this filing that we've seen from Team Trump, in your opinion, is this the winning lawsuit Donald Trump wants to see?
What the president is now doing, it's clear. The strategy is to show and prove the need for election reform. Whether or not any of these suits ultimately triumph, it doesn't seem likely that it's going to overturn the final result. But the strategy is very clear. And what is really missing here is, in democracy, you might say, is trust. Because the level of voter distrust now is at record levels. 1 in 3 Americans don't trust final election results. 2 in 3 happen to be Republican. But it's not just a partisan thing, because in 2016, 42% of Democrats also did not trust the final results of the presidential election, which is why you now see numbers suggesting that almost half of Americans are telling the president, do not concede. But there are things we can do.
All right, let's get to those, because quite frankly, it's going to come down to these local officials, right? These local leaders in the state legislature. What steps can be taken to ensure that there is and are free and fair elections in our American democracy?
It's really direct. And here are the remedies. One day reporting. Instead of doing this drip, drip, drip over the course of days and weeks, do like a lot of other countries. You report it out at one time. Usually it's about a week later, and the Americans get the final result in one lump sum. Number 2 is you have one system, not hundreds of different election systems out there. We all play by the same rules. 3, you invest what you need to invest in technology, so you have the kinds of vote signature confirmation machines and signature gathering machines that show that the vote itself was worthy. Number 4 is you need full transparency. You should be able to see any election worker in America in a count or a recount counting a ballot, and be able to see that ballot as it's being counted. And finally, I think there should be criminal penalties for offenders. I think anyone that messes around with democracy, whether it's conscious or not, if it amounts to fraud, it is akin to treason. And I really believe the penalty should be severe. And I think that will help clean up a lot of things. And by the way, one more thing, compulsory voting. I really believe every American should vote. I think it's so little to ask for people that have been given so much that we weigh in when we need to elect the leaders that are going to lead us forward. And I think maybe this election, as so many have in the past, prove the need for that right now.
As you say, it's also a bipartisan approach that we want to make sure that, these elections are free and fair, and that's for both sides of the aisle at this point. Adam, I'm sure you've been watching the media coverage of how the 2020 election has played out. As you recall, in 2016, we heard reporting from maybe more left-leaning mainstream media outlets talking about Russian collusion, and that went on for 3.5 years. And now, when we're following these reports of fraud going on in the election, it's radio silent on those outlets. What changed?
The media, right? To give you the direct answer, the liberal media has basically decided they wanted to make sure we had nothing to question here. So they affirmed with certainty that there's nothing to look at here. In other words, for the first time in American history, we apparently have had a perfect election with no fraud, no miscounting, no chicanery. None. For the first time in history. I'm sorry, that's a bit much to ask, and that's why, again, nearly a majority of Americans today on both sides of the aisle have a great sense of distrust. And boy, if we lose trust in democracy and the power of the vote, the integrity of the vote, there's very little else we can fall back on to feel good about ourselves and whole in moving forward.
Yeah. Absolutely. So well said. I just think it's crazy that, Newsmax, we are continuing to follow the president's legal efforts here. Again, we're looking into these allegations of fraud. But if you're watching another channel, it's like it's not even happening. And you're the crazy one for even pursuing it or thinking that it's an option. So wanting to assure everyone, you're not crazy. You're tuning in. You're just trying to get the facts here. Adam Goodman, we appreciate you taking the time and joining us this morning here on National Report. Thanks so much. Take care.
Thank you.